My head sideways on the phone. Oh, anyway, we back with this video. And part 1 had not uploaded yet, but I'm recording the video back to back. Okay, so any comments in there? I had read them because I had looked at them yet. And watch the first video, the Hitman 1, before you watch this one. Okay? Okay.
Sheets of paper. This is everything I could get on the guy. I looked at him again with a really serious face and said, "Don't mention this to anyone, even your wife. This guy is really dangerous and I don't need you getting involved, and make sure no one can trace back the fact that you looked up his information." He looked back at me and said, "Okay." As I was getting up to leave, he just said, "Take care of yourself, man, and be careful." I told him that I would and that I couldn't thank him enough. I walked back to my car and started studying the piece of paper, and once again had a huge grin on my face. I now had a bunch of this guy's info in my hands. I knew who I was dealing with. I'm not disclosing the man's name due to concerns for myself and his family, so we'll just refer to him as Mike. Mike was 35 years old and was registered to an address in Arizona. Like I thought, it was a black Chrysler 300. Now that I had the info I needed, it was time to stake out my house a bit more. When I got back, it was around 1 p.m. and I parked a little bit further this time. I sat in my car for about another hour, and when 2 p.m. rolled around, I saw the same black 300 roll up about 2 blocks away from my place again. Further away from the last time, but close enough to watch the place thoroughly. I was only about a mile away from him, and he didn't even know it. So, the Burger King I'm in is pretty much dead now, and I've been here for quite a while. I need to get back to my hotel and start planning some stuff. I'll try to post back tomorrow when I have a bit of free time around 5 or 6 p.m. Until next time, how's it going, everybody? So first off, sorry yesterday's part wasn't too exciting, as I had to get through the boring parts to get to the kick-ass Michael Bay explosions part. Oh, and not sure if I'll be able to update tomorrow. And if I do, it'll be later at night. Why, you might ask? It's Mike's last day on Earth. The day he gets a bullet in between his eyes or through the chest. Anyways.
What about the video?
Get started. I had just gotten back around the area of my apartment and had seen Mike parked down the street from my apartment. At this point, I was done just watching him trying to watch me all day, so I decided I needed to test his abilities a bit. I went a few miles away to an old Motel 6.
You can't see what I'm doing, my friend.
I walked in, and a nice older man was running the front desk. I walked up to him and asked if I could book a room. He said yes, that would be fine, so
Ooh, you are not helping. Might have to pause the videos again. I don't do it in a minute. 15 minutes. I'll pause the video. We're only 15 minutes into the video. What the fuck?
I also handed him an envelope and told him if he saw a man wearing a suit about my height asking for anybody to hand this envelope to him. He stuttered a bit, trying to get out that he doesn't do that type of thing, but his attitude changed real quick when I pulled out a $100 bill and handed it to him. "Oh, of course, sir. If he comes in, I'll give it to him." I then went about another 5 miles away to another Motel 6 and paid for a room with my debit card again. I handed this lady another envelope and pulled out 100 and described Mike to her. "If he comes in here, just hand him the envelope and he'll leave." She handed me my room key and I left. I then went across the street to a bit nicer motel and booked a room with cash. The room was on the second story and I had a clear view of the Motel 6 across the street. You might be wondering what was in the envelopes and why I booked 3 rooms. Well, first off, I needed to see if they were monitoring my bank accounts, and secondly, I wanted to see what his reaction would be when he finally realized that I led him to 2 dead ends. The envelopes were just 2 pieces of paper. The first one said, "Try again," and the second one said, "So close, yet so far away." Now, to just wait, I got up to my room and took a shower because I desperately needed it. I then set up one of the hidden cameras that I had bought from the spy shop outside my room facing the entrance to the front desk of the motel across the street. I went back inside and waited. About 2 hours later, wouldn't you know it, the black car pulled up into the parking lot. As it sat there, I looked at the GPS tracker I had bought a few days prior, and I knew I had an opportunity to put it on his car so I could track him. The only problem was if I even attempted to get close to his car, he'd know I was there and might even start shooting at me. I pushed the curtain of the window to the side and looked around and saw a couple of teenagers on bikes fucking around in the parking lot of the motel I was in. I put on a baseball cap and went downstairs trying to face away from Mike's car the whole time. I walked up to a soda machine that was downstairs and yelled at the kids to come over to where I was while waving a $100 bill in the air. After all, I'm sure those kids would love cash to fuck around with or buy some pot. After looking at each other, they came over to me and asked what I wanted. I pulled the GPS tracker out of my pocket and told them if they wanted to make a quick buck, all they had to do was wait for the man in the black car across the street to get out and walk into the lobby of the motel and hide it underneath the bumper somewhere where he would have a hard time finding it. "How are we supposed to do it without him figuring out what we're doing?" one of them asked. I thought about it really quick and said, "Just ride your bikes behind the car and one of you will pretend to fall. Then, as you're on the ground, stick it underneath." They all looked at each other again and snickered, and agreed. I turned it on and handed it to one of them. I then handed the $100 bill to another one of them. As he grabbed it, I held on to it and he looked at me with a questioning face as why I wasn't letting go. They all looked back at me and I looked at each one of them dead in the eye and said, "If you kids just run off with my GPS locator and my $100, I will find each of you and kill you and your families. I'm not the type of guy you want to fuck with. Got it?" Their smiles quickly faded, and they all nodded. "I'll be watching from somewhere to make sure the job is done. You boys have a nice day." They slowly turned back around and rode off across the street, not knowing what I had just said was just a bluff. I took the back stairwell up to my room. As I got in to check the camera I had planted, Mike had just gotten out of his car and was walking across the parking lot. Just as he entered the check-in building of the motel, the kids entered the camera's frame. Just as they got near the back of the car, one of the kids fell and I saw him reach his arm underneath the car. He then got up and they rode off. About a minute later, I saw Mike leaving the motel lobby. He opened the envelope, read the paper, and then crumpled it up and threw it on the ground. He then got out his phone and called someone while walking to his car. He got in and left after putting the phone back into his pocket. I had another grin on my face knowing I was slowly winning the game. I got onto my laptop and watched the little red dot slowly get further and further away. About an hour later, I decided to go check up on what Mike was up to, hoping to find the location of where he was staying. I drove to the area where the GPS locator was stopped at. I parked about a half-mile away and started walking to his location. It was a little parking lot for a Mexican food restaurant, but as I scanned the parking lot, his car wasn't there. I walked up to the front of the restaurant and could see by the entrance there was a little manila envelope. I walked up to it and opened it. All that was inside was my GPS locator and a note that said, "Tag, now you're it." My smile and thoughts were cut short as a little hole exploded out of the pillar I was standing by. As I ducked behind the pillar, another hole was created in the brick wall that was now in front of me. Fuck, he's shooting at me. Where's the sound of the gun, though? I thought quickly. He must have a silencer. Shit. I completely fell for his trap. I'm such a fucking idiot. What the fuck do I do now?
Die.
I pulled out my 9mm and peeked my head out from the pillar. I couldn't see him. Fuck. I had no choice but to run. He was closing in on me. I ran into the restaurant and went through the kitchen as a whole bunch of Mexicans were yelling at me and darted out the back door. I ran down the alley that the back door led to, my adrenaline pumping. As I neared the end of the alley, I heard something whiz by me, tearing the side of my shirt. Almost out of the alley, I ducked behind a big metal dumpster. I chambered around, popped out a bit, and shot twice at him. A loud-ass bang-bang sound shot out as the bullets exited the end of the barrel. Fuck, everyone around is going to hear that, and this guy had a goddamn silencer, so he doesn't need to worry about that. I need to get the fuck out of here before the cops show up. I darted out of the alley, and as I rounded the corner, I heard another bullet strike the brick wall. I looked back and saw a huge chunk taken out of the corner. I ran as fast as I could back to my car, trying my best to make sure he didn't follow me. As I got in and took off, I looked back to see Mike running around the corner, looking around, trying to find me. For a guy of his size in a suit, he was sure is pretty damn fast. I then hit a red light with a few cars around me, and I could still see him running in my direction, trying to look for me. I could tell he didn't know what kind of car I was in by the way he was frantically looking around. He kept getting closer and closer until finally he was right beside me, on the other side of the street. The only thing that was between us was another car in the left lane. Come the fuck on, light turned fucking green. I was fucking hysterical at this point. The man that was trying to kill me was about 15 feet away, and all he had to do was look hard enough through my tinted windows and he'd know that it was me. He then continued walking past and pulled out his phone. Right as he hit the street corner, the light turned green and I fucking gunned it. As soon as I knew he was away from me, I started laughing louder than I've ever laughed before. I was so close to death, and yet I never felt more alive. This is exactly what I needed, and I already couldn't wait for our next encounter. Only next time it would be on my terms. I got back to my motel room and got upstairs. I sat down on the bed and started thinking about what had just happened, and planning my next move. I was such a fucking idiot for falling for that trap. He had seen those kids plant that thing, or he had some kind of bug detector like mine that could find planted electronics. I didn't know which one, but I did have a few pieces of valuable information. They were monitoring my bank accounts. He has a silencer and is not afraid to shoot in public, and from what I saw, he's not bad at his job. I had just gotten extremely lucky that I switched cars and he didn't happen to see me. I collapsed on the bed exhausted as the adrenaline wore off. About 15 minutes had passed as I lay on my bed contemplating everything, and I got a phone call. I looked at my phone and it was a number that I didn't recognize from a 480 area code.
Yeah.
I answered. Well, hello there. You left so soon we didn't even get to play. Who is this? I asked like a dumbass. I knew who it was. Don't worry about who I am. It's yourself that you need to worry about. I started laughing. Oh, Mike, my buddy, it's you. I don't think... How do you know my name? He snapped. You shouldn't interrupt people while they're talking, Mike. It's quite rude. As I was saying, I don't think I need to worry about myself too much. I'm it now, though, so I'll be seeing you soon, I said. A few seconds of silence followed. It sounded like he was in a car. You'll be seeing me sooner than you think. And then he hung up. I don't know what he meant by that, but I needed to get the fuck out of this hotel and into a new one. I wrote down the number he called me on, and I packed all my stuff up and got out of there as quickly as I could. As I was leaving, all I could think of was how the fuck did he get my number? I threw the phone out of the window and kept driving.
Very creepy.
As I was driving away, I saw his car pull into the motel parking lot I was just at. Anyways, once again, I need to get going. This bar I'm at is called the Blind Tiger. It is packed, but I've been here for too long, and I need to get back to my hotel.
Oh, I did not know. I need to end this video and do a new one.